back from when I first heard about Jesus. I was about 5 years old. I knew the reason. My mom had told me about Jesus and why we celebrate Christmas. And I remember one time when, after my mom told me that, I went over to the side and I looked up and I prayed and I said, "Happy birthday to Jesus," not realizing how powerful that name alone is. And from that time on, I grew up going to church, with my family, sometimes, most of the time by myself. And I knew in third grade, I remember I remember fondly the preacher telling me that we all have a greater purpose. And those words, I can just see them floating over everyone's head, and they went straight to mine and pierced them. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know when it was gonna happen, how it was gonna happen. That just stuck with me from that time on. And I went through some really low times, and I went through some mental abuse that caused me to become suicidal, and I hated myself. There's times where I got so down and out on myself, I would become depressed, and I would find ways to fill that void. I would go out and, I would give myself away to these guys, and it would come back and it would haunt me, and it just weighed me down and weighed me down. And I prayed from the time when I was 10 years old on up until I was about 23 years old. I prayed and prayed and prayed for God to save me. And one day I just sat down. I was in a rage, and I sat down and I started to type everything that came to my mind. It turned out to be this beautiful poetry. And from that time on, I kept, doing poetry and stone after stone was alleviated. And I realized that this helped me. I want to pass it on to somebody else. December 29th, 2012 was when my greater purpose came to me. I didn't realize I even had one. I didn't believe I had one. I hated myself. I really thought one day I would really not be here. And as of right now, I'm pretty nervous sharing this message. Because I still am dealing with some things personally myself. And when I did engage in sins, it weighed me down and it held me back from my greater purpose. And a lot of things, they have molded me with different experiences. And through the organization that I started, right after I started, December 29, 2012, I went through a phase where I was just revelation after revelation. I was depressed. I couldn't understand why it was happening to me. I knew it was coming, but I would give everything, all my worries, I would give it to God. And God worked with me to help me to become a better woman. And through my organization, I hope to grow and to continue to touch lives. And as I continue to grow, my organization grows. So as long as I continue to justify my sins, I stay in them, I'm not going to be able to grow this organization. And it has come a long way. It's called Fuel for Poetry, and it's the aid and prevention of suicide, self-harm, and depression by showing people how to use poetry as a therapy.